So that's our started recording now, just to let you know. And as you'll know, Well Versed is a partnership between Stanza and Open Book, and we have 3 sessions. The first session is when we read together. In the second session, we have the poet with us to read some of their poetry and to have a conversation with us about their poetry. And then the final session is when we do our own creative writing and use the poetry that we've been looking at as a starting point. So this time I'm honoured to introduce Iyad Hayatleh, who is going to be sharing some of his poems with us and talking to us. So we've got an hour together. I'll do a brief introduction to Iyad. Then Iyad is going to do some reading for us from his poetry. Then I have some questions that I'm dying to ask him, and there will be time after that for you to ask any questions that you have. Either if you want to put questions in the chat, that's one way of doing it, or if you want to address your questions directly to Iyad, that would also be fine. So let's introduce Iyad. So welcome Iyad to Well Versed. Really lovely to have you here. As I say, it's an honour to have you here. So Iyad Hayatleh is a Palestinian poet and translator. He was born and grew up in a Palestinian refugee camp in Syria and has lived in Glasgow since 2000. He's published work in Arabic and given readings in Syria, Lebanon and Yemen. And in Scotland his work has appeared in magazines as well as pamphlets. His first collection, Beyond All Measure, was published by Survivors Press in 2007. He collaborated with the poet Tessa Ransford, the late Tessa Ransford, on a 2-way translation project, resulting in the book A Rug of a Thousand Colours by Luaf Press 2012, and that was inspired by the 5 pillars of Islam. He's an active member of Scottish Pen, as well as Artists in Exile Glasgow, and has led workshops in Glasgow and Inverness schools, sponsored by the Scottish Poetry Library and by Oxfam. He's taken part in readings across Scotland, including events at the Edinburgh International Book Festival, and he's featured on BBC radio programmes and gained further media exposure in the Scottish press. So, hello Iyad, how are you today? I hope you're well.
Hello, I'm fine. Hello, everybody.
So lovely to have you here, and I wonder if you would read some of your poetry for us, please.
Yeah, okay. I sent you a few texts before.
You did?
To have a look and maybe somebody read them. So do you have any preference, or just I read whatever I want?
Well, one of my personal preferences, this is just me being selfish, is Presence, that beautiful poem about your late wife. That was one of the ones that you said. Yeah. Does anyone else have a request from? No, then I think it's for you to choose. Yeah, what you want to read.
Yeah. Okay. I'm speaking. I'm connecting with you by my mobile phone, and I will read from my computer.
Okay. There's a message there from Jack saying, whatever is in your heart to share, to introduce yourself. That's a nice way.
Okay, no worries. It's good to start with this poem because it means a lot for me. And I usually, when I do reading in front of audience, I mean live reading, I read in Arabic and in English. So I'm going to start reading this poem. I read the Arabic version first, then we'll read the English translation. I wrote this poem in one of Lamis died in June 2013, and I wrote this poem in one of her birthdays, a year or 2 years after, called Presence. When Lamis died, the day she died, her clothes were hanging on the rack in our bedroom, which is this room, and they've been kept there for a long time, a very long time actually, and some of them still just behind me here. I didn't move them. So this was the poem talking about. The title in Arabic, حضور, and in English, presence. ملابسها على المشجب ملابسها على المشجب، وقلبي يغزل الصلوات بين خيوط معطفها، يناجيها صباح مساء مبتهلا ولا يتعب، وروحي مرة تحبو على الثوب المطرز من ندى أنفاسها المتداخل الألوان بين شهيقها وزفيرها ونقوش صبار الجليل وتينه الأطيب، ومرات ترفرف فوقه، تتلمس الأكمام والياقات والأزرار، تنهل ما تشاء من عطرها والعطر لا ينضب، وعيني في زوايا المنزل المحزون ترصد طيفها أبدا ولا مهرب. هنا ضحكت، هناك بكت، هنا فرحت، هنا حزنت، هنا صلت، هنا صامت، هنا نامت، هنا قامت، هنا لمساتها انتشرت، هنا همساتها انتثرت تقول اذهب ولا تذهب، هنا حطت طيور شفاهها من واحتي تشرب، هنا لعب الهوى فينا وصارت ساحه لخيولنا ملعب، هنا غصت دموعي بي وفاض البحر في عيني حتى خلتني نوحا، ولا مجذاف في كفي ولا صار وأشرعة ولا ربان، لا ميناء لا مركب. Presence. By the way, I read this poem recently in March 14th, maybe, on the Stanza Festival. And I read in Arabic, and a poet, Robert Crawford, read a version in Scots. He translated it into Scots. I have the text with me here, but I can't read in this lovely language, so I will read the English version. Presence. Her clothes on the rack, and my heart weaves prayers between the threads of her coat, while whispering to her morning and evening with supplications and never getting tired. And my soul sometimes crawls upon the embroidered dress from the dew of her breath, whose colors intertwined between her inhale and exhale and the pattern of the Galilean prickly pear and its sweetest fig. And sometimes it flutters above it, touching the sleeves, the collars, and the buttons, drinking what it desires of her fragrance, which never runs dry. And my eyes ever watch out for her phantom in the corners of the sorrowful house without escape. Here she laughed, there she wept, here she prayed, there she fasted, here she slept, there she got up, here, here her touches spread, here her whispers scattered, saying, Go and don't go. Here the birds of her lips landed to drink from my oasis. Here love played with us, and its arena became a playground for our horses. Here, here, my tears shocked me, and the sea overflowed in my eyes until I thought myself Noah, with no oar in my hand, no mast, and no sails, no captain, no harbour, and no boat. Thank you.
Thank you, Iyad. Lots of heart comments coming up there. Philippa says that she was at that performance you mentioned at Stanza and that it was really beautiful. And, and Esran from the University of Glasgow would love to connect with you via email, if possible. And to said, can we hear the Arabic version? I'm not quite sure what she means because we did hear the Arabic version, I think, which was very beautiful. Would you like to read us another piece?
Yeah,
Or did you have something to say first?
yeah, okay. I have a poem which I really love. I wrote it in, I think, in 2016. It was part of a project. I don't actually remember a project called maybe Extremists to write poems. It was like pairing between two poets, each one write poem, and there was like places or characters chosen already where they are like in a big contrast. So I remember I chose to write about Glencoe, and the other poem or the other poet was she wrote about something called the Silicon Valley, somewhere here in the central Scotland. So I wrote this poem. We'll read it in Arabic again, called From Al Yarmouk to Glencoe. Al Yarmouk is the place where I was living in Syria. Actually, it's not where I was born, but I lived over there nearly uh, sorry, I'm doing the. Okay. I lived in this camp called Mukhayyam al-Yarmouk. It's southern of Damascus. It's partially destroyed now by the war. I lived more than 35 years, maybe. I went to schools there and I married there. And I have my family house over there. So I write this poem called From Al Yarmouk to Glencoe. I remember when I first was traveling, was coming back, I think, from Inverness to Glasgow, and we passed by Glencoe, and something just called me to stop here. I didn't know what is exactly. And I felt that I connected to this area. As I know this area as I was here before. And when I read about it after, maybe the massacre was the connection between the area and me. I will read in Arabic first. من اليرموك to Glencoe. I say something about it as well. There is two references in the poem. I use a chapter of I think, a very famous song about Glencoe, a massacre of Glencoe or something like that, and a chapter or a few lines of Arabic or Palestinian folk song. إذا ما اعتراني اشتياق لدار أبي في الجليل أتيت لأنثر بوحي هنا وإما يفيض بقلبي لهيب أجيء لأطفئه ها هنا وإن ضاق سجني علي أرعت لأبكي لميسي هنا في جلينكو على ضفة النهر بين برار انتظاري أرى قمرا شاحبا خجلا من دموع الثكالى تمشط خطوات وجدي ظلال فتاة تهيم على صوتها المختنق تلاحق آثار أقدام طفل تخطته سكينة القاتلين ويسمع قلبي أصداء مزمارها قربة راوغت طعنة من وحوش الظلام وطارت لم يزل لحمها ملء هذا الفضاء يغني أرى في مرايا البحيرات وجهي الذي صادرته الطواغيت أعرف هذه الجبال وأحفظ عن ظهر غيب تجاعيدها الحانيات الصخور الزهور القبور الثلوج المروج الكهوف الجداول صمت عويل الرياح أنين الغيوم وأسطورة الوحشة الموجعة سيول المياه نزولا سيول الدموع صعودا حملت تفاصيلها الخافيات هوى في ضلوعي وجئت بها من بلادي وثبتها ها هنا قاسيون وذلك كرمل حيفا فؤادي الممزق بين الهضاب وهجبل الشيخ في وطن المستباح يعانق جيد السماء ويهبط نشوان بالمعجزات يراقص غزلان روحي تراكض حرية فوق هذا الروابي هنا بين رانخمور وجلينكو طليقا من الخوف حرا أهجن حناءاته وقمته العالية تجاويف وديانه وعزلته الطاغية شموخ النسور وعزة نفس الصقور، عواصف ثلج الصباح الكئيب، وأسرار عطر الصنوبر والآسحين يفوح، وزهر الخلنج المفتح في جسمي المتكي فوق جرح القديم، خلود شتاتي واسمي المضيع من دفتر العائلة، روائح عشب تأله في جوف صدري، وأهات جداتي الغابرات، صعودا صعودا، كأني أشم دماء الذين قضوا في المجازر، أهل السبايا هناك وأهل الضحايا هنا، فيا كفر قاسمة نادي شتيلة، ويا دير ياسين هلا مسحت دموعي بالصبرة، ويا تل زعتري المستعاد بيرموك قلبي، ويا آل ماكدونالد، ويا أمهات، ويا شهداء، ويا سجناء، ويا أيها اللائذون من الموت بالموت، يا كل طفل ذبيح على أرض سورية، بعض منكم أنا نصبت شغافي لكم خيمة وسع هذا المدى، فاحتموا بي، هنا تنهض الأغنيات تمد نوافيرها نحو سابع كون، وتشرق طلا ونجمات صبح بهي يليق بضحكاتنا الناجيات، صعودا صعودا تصاعد في داخل الأغنية، كم كانت قاسية تلك الثلوج التي تحتاج جلينكو وتغطي القبر يا دونالد، كم كان قاسيا ذلك العدو الذي اغتصب جلينكو وقتل بإجرام آل ماكدونالد، نزولا نزولا تصاعدوا في داخل الأغنية، يا زاريف الطول وقفت أقول لك رايح عالغربي وبلادك أحسن لك، خايف يا حبيبي تروح وتتملك وتعاشر الغير وتنساني أنا، وتعاشر الغير وتنساني أنا. From اليرموك to Glencoe. When the nostalgia of my father's Galilean house attacks me, I come to sprinkle my revelations here. And when the flames of yearning for my mother flood my heart, I come to put them out here. And when my prison becomes so tight, I come to weep for my Lamis here. Here in Glencoe, on the river banks, amongst the wilderness of my waiting, I see the moon pale in shame from the tears of bereaved mothers, and the steps of my grief march behind the shadow of a girl wandering on her choked voice, chasing the footprints of a child who escaped the murder's knife. And my heart hears the echoes of a bagpipe that dodged the stabs of the monsters of the dark and flew away with her tunes still filling up the space with lyrics. In the mirrors of the loch, I see my face, which was seized by tyrants. I know these mountains. I saved their motherly I see their motherly wrinkles by heart, rocks, flowers, graves, snow, meadows, barns, and caves, the silent howling wind, the moaning clouds, and the legendary painful solitude, descending streams, ascending tears. I carried their unseen details like love amongst my ribs, brought them from my far away country and fixed them here. This is Qasiyun, and that is Karmel Haifa, my torn heart between hills. That is Mount Hermon from my violated homeland, hugging the neck of the sky here and dropping down intoxicated with miracles, dancing with the red deer of my soul, running liberty over mounts between Ranachmoor and Glencoe. Loose from my fear, free, I spell his curves and the high peaks, the depths of the glens, and the overwhelming loneliness, the glory of the eagles, and the dignity of the buzzards, the gloomy morning blizzards, the secrets of pine and myrtle trees, perfume, heather blossoming in my body, leaning on my old wound, the immortality of my diaspora, my lost name in the family tree, herb smells defied in the bottom of my chest, and the sighs of my ancient grandmothers. Ascending, ascending. It's as if I smell the blood of those who perished in massacres. My captive people there, my victim people here. Oh, Kafr Qasim, pull out Shatila. And you, Deir Yassin, please wipe my tears in Sabra and Tel Za'atar, which repeated into my Yarmouk. O house of MacDonald, O you mothers, martyrs, prisoners, O you who are seeking sanctuary from death in death, every slain child in the land of Syria, I am you. Take refuge in me. I set my heart for you as a tent, the width of this horizon. Here rise the songs, extending their fountains towards the seventh sky, and shining like dew, like a gorgeous morning star, which our survived laughter deserve. Ascending, ascending, the song ascends into me. Oh, cruel was the snow that sweeps Glencoe and covers the graves O'Donnell. Oh, cruel was the foe that raped Glencoe and murdered the house of MacDonald. Descending, descending, the song ascends into me. Oh, elegantly, elegantly handsome guy. Stop, so I can tell you, you are going abroad, but your country is better for you. I'm afraid you will get established there, my love, and fall in love with someone else and forget me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those poems. I was I don't know about other people, but I was really enjoying the Arabic. I don't understand much Arabic, but it's the feelings seem to come through even in the Arabic, and the English reading was beautiful. And the third part for me was your hands that you seem to be translating into when you're ascending. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed that.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if this was clear in the mobile phone. I see the photo is a bit small. Definitely will be
On
like
the screen. It's yeah,
yeah, different on a stage if this happened on a stage.
definitely. Well, thank you very much. I wonder if I could ask you some questions. Um, that last one, the second one about Glencoe and Yarmouk. I'm interested. So Scotland has been your home for more than a quarter of a century, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
And you describe it. I've seen you describe it as the land of clouds. That's that's pretty accurate usually. And you say, here in the land of frost, we had to make our own country. And a very beautiful phrase of yours, the heather bloomed with us. And I was just wondering what if you were able to tell us what Scotland means for you, in particular how living in Scotland has informed your poetry.
I I wrote a poem once called "My New Homeland." It was about Scotland. I wrote it on the eve of independence referendum. In that poem, I I say everything about what Scotland mean to me. Uh, in brief, I could say Scotland is my new homeland, as I virtually I have two homelands, Syria and Palestine, and both of them are, I could say about Palestine, I could say it's postponed. It's beyond reaching now. And Syria, because when I wrote that poem, it was a war in Syria. Now is the situation is a bit stable. But for Scotland, it's where my sons grown up and went to schools and university and established their life here. I have a son who was born here in Glasgow, and he is studying medicine in Glasgow University now. And Scotland gave me big opportunity to spread my poetry and to be known even more than the Arabic media and Arabic world by translating my poems, by cooperating with other poets and do translation workshops between English and Arabic and English, and publishing my work. And I traveled around Scotland to read my poetry nearly everywhere around Scotland. And to me, I could say something important about Scotland to become my home. It's enough to have the body of my late wife, Lemise, buried here in Glasgow, in this soil, to feel that this my land, this my new homeland. And I wish and hope like every best for the Scots and Scotland in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful response. You mentioned there collaborating with other writers and a bit about Arabic and English. So your book, Rug of a Thousand Colours, which you wrote with Tessa Ramford, is bilingual, I believe. It's in Arabic and English. And interestingly, Tessa described the translation of poetry as pushing a poem through a turnstile. I was quite struck by that. I wonder, how would you describe the process of translating poetry? What's translating poetry for you?
Translating poems from one language, to me, from Arabic to English, it's like to open a door. For me, it's a wide door to other kind of audience. They come from different background, from different culture. They have different heritage of mine, and they gonna read my words. Yeah, okay, in their language, but it's my words. It's still uh, holding and carrying some meanings coming, and music, of course, come from different culture. Translating actually is a bit difficult. They always say something will be lost in translation, and I think this is true, because whatever you do, you can't convey the feelings behind the words. Yeah, okay, you translate the words, you do your best to translate the words from one language to another language, but you can't really convey the feelings come behind these words. The words, like in Arabic or in English, even when you hear any word or any phrase in English, if you are an English native speaker, uh, in no time, lots of things come to your mind about the words, about the way of speaking, memories from the childhood, from the youth. Yeah, but when I translate this word into Arabic, it's just a word. It's just a word from a dictionary. I remember an Arabic poet said once, when the poet write a poem, he bring or he pick up a word from the dictionary and add from himself, from his soul, add to this word a lot, add from his memory, from his culture, from his history, adds a lot to this word, and put it in its place in the poem. And when the translator come to translate this poem, he again pick up the word from the poem and take it away or remove all the additions away from the word and take it back to the dictionary and translate it from the dictionary to another word. So translation with Tessa was an interesting uh, experience. Uh, we spent lots of time speaking to each other, even before show each other the poems, and do rough translation first and sit together or exchange an email. She used to live in Edinburgh. Till we reach like a compromise version and put the final touches on it and agree that that's what we want to see. But despite all that, I could see, yeah, we were unable to convey the 100% of the poem from one language to another.
Thank you. I was reading one of your poems, Children of Gaza. We actually read it in the group, some of us who are here today, in which we hear the voices of the children who've died or been seriously injured. And I personally found it almost unbearable to hear when you said, I am Yusuf, I'm Rima, I am Ahmed. And the one that really got me, I am Omar, killed as an infant before I had a chance to use my name. The sadness of that. And I suppose my question is, in the face of such suffering that you present to us and enable us to try to imagine, I wondered, what, if anything, can poetry do? Can poetry help? What can poetry do? Big question.
If you asked me this questions like 10 years ago, I would say a lot about it. I would say that poetry can do everything, can change the whole world by poetry. Raise awareness and prepare for even revolutions against oppression. But today, the things are different. At least, I mean, to me, I no longer have this belief. And I'm sorry to say that I lost my belief, my faith in what can words or literature or poetry do to change this ugly world. I'm saying that because as I see that the whole world now is ruled by psychopaths, tyrants, more or less criminals. I mean everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean really everywhere, from the west to the east. So how can you explain what's happening, what happened on Gaza, and still happening, by the way? If some people don't know, uh, Israel is still striking Gaza every day and kill people every day, and do the same in South Lebanon as well. While so this genocide was taking place and still taking place, and the whole world, of course, there is some exceptions. Yeah, but the whole world, I mean, when I say the whole world, I mean the official world. Yeah, they turned a blind eye. Nobody cared about what's happening. Everybody was supporting Israel, and unfortunately, this is not the world that we, at least if I'm talking about me, it's not the world that I dreamed when I was a child to see when I'm reaching this age. But of course, yeah, some other people believe, and I have to believe, maybe I have to eliminate this idea from my mind and have to believe again that this culture and poetry is something important in the life of people. At least if cannot do any like any scene or big change, it will raise awareness about anything you write about the subjects, about anything. if was about like war, suffering of people, or if you write about other things, about the beauty, about nature. Hope this answer is, is fine.
Thank you. Thank you for taking on that question.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for speaking from your heart to us. Um, I'd like to know if anyone else has got any questions for me. I've got a couple of things in fact, lots of things I'd still like to ask, but would anyone else like to, if you just want to raise your hand or if you'd like to put it in the chat? Any thoughts? We had a message from Esran saying that she also enjoyed the hand gestures and movement. And Tanuvi Joe said, wow, that was a powerful, majestic poem, and the connection of grief to place. That was the second poem, I think. And some information from Philippa said that was so beautiful, such a powerful connection between the two places. The song The Massacre of Glencoe was written by Jim McLean. He's the great uncle of my children. Wow! This is so powerful hearing it today in your words. So these are some of the reactions we've had. Perhaps while people are thinking of a question they might like to ask or a comment they like to make, I might ask you another question, which is to move back to the first poem that you read and perhaps the impact of poetry on the poet. So that beautiful poem called Presence, in which you write about the presence and absence of your late wife, Lamise. Could you tell us something about how that poem did it comfort you in your grief? Did it take a long time to write, or did you write it quickly? How was it for you, the writing of that poem for Lamise?
Yeah, actually, as I remember, it didn't take a long time. It comes at that time. It came just like a flash. That's what I really remember. Because, as I said, her clothes were still hanging in my bedroom. When I sleep or when I lie in the bed to sleep, I see them. When I wake up, I see them. And her presence was really strong in the whole house because I wasn't prepared at all for her death. Something happened suddenly, like in 5 minutes. No any signs, no at all. So her presence was still heavy in the house and in my mind and in my heart. And the poem here just come quickly to my mind. And maybe I sat after or I repeated it for a few times to put it in the final shape. And yeah, when I read this poem, I feel I have mixture of feelings. I feel sad and I feel happy, and this is something strange. I feel happy that I was able to write a poem. By the way, this not the only poem I wrote about Lemise. Maybe I didn't write. No, I wrote some other poems, uh, especially about her, or the whole poem was about her. Yeah, but she as well. She comes and appears in other poems, in other lines. because I don't believe strongly that if you write about something, you write about this particular thing and that's it. No, to me, like everything is mixed in this world. Yeah, I feel happy when I read this poem about Lamish, when I remember it. Uh, and I remember I took the poem and I read it by her grave here in Glasgow years ago. And I read it to friends in Lebanon once, and I read it in Dubai as well a few years ago in reading. Yeah, I feel great. I mean, I feel great that I was able to write this poem. This is maybe the loveliest poem I wrote about Luis. And everybody listened to it or heard it. They were grateful and appreciated it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing it with us again and for speaking so personally about what it means to you. Really appreciate
Thank you.
it. Okay, we have a question from Natalie for you, which is, do you normally write in Arabic first and then translate, or do you ever find yourself drawn to writing in English first?
To be honest, I'm still writing in Arabic first. Yeah, I write in Arabic first. By the way, for like the past few years, I don't write that much. I don't write that much like before. Yeah, but I write in Arabic first and translate it into English. On a few occasions, I still feel okay, despite I lived here 26 years. Yeah, but if we're talking about years, for example, my age now is 66. I lived here 26, and I lived in Arabic countries in Syria, particular, in 40 years. Yeah, but to me, they weren't only 40 years because I went to school there and I read in Arabic there and I lived in the community and society. And so I felt that I lived the whole history of the Arabic world, the Arabic culture. I read a lot about Arabic culture and Arabic poetry. By the way, the first poem known to Arabs now was written 1500 years ago. And still, students, still study it in schools. And a few occasions I wrote in English. And a few occasions I wrote like few texts in English. But I could say the Arabic idea or the Arabic image was in my mind. And I a bit struggle to translate it from my mind to words in English. And yeah, that was a good experience as well.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Esra.
Okay.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
hi. Hi, my name is Ezra.
Oh, hello.
Thank you so much. I'm all right. Thank you so much for sharing such beautiful poetry. It's heartbreaking, I know, but it's really important for us to know about this and for us to keep sharing. It's an act of resistance in itself for us to be able to share our words and our truths. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Very welcome.
I was wondering, I'm really intrigued to know more about the sense of community that you have here in Glasgow. I'm based in Glasgow. I'm also a creative. And I was thinking, do you feel that there is a sense of community for Arab Palestinian creatives in Glasgow? Are there groups or workshops that you're part of, or things that you would recommend? And the reason I'm asking this is I am in the creative scene, but I feel like I'm in my 30s, so maybe it's mostly people in their 30s or less. And I feel like there should be more connection and more conversations being made with intergenerational creatives. Thank you. And how can we contact you? I was trying to find you on social media. I was just trying to find the best way to contact you, to just connect with you, see what you're up to, your future events, and also to invite you over for events that we are organizing.
Okay, we'll find a way. We'll find a way to. I send you my email by one of the means. I saw a comment from you on the Instagram. I send you email here, or you can take it from the organizers here. About the Arabs and Palestinian community here, yeah, there is a kind of community, and but to be honest, to me, as I am for several reasons, I'm no longer active and do go to these meetings anymore. But in the creative side, I could say no, there is no creative or cultural collaboration with anyone here or the Arab community. They, I don't think they are interested in this part. They, unfortunately, they all interested in business or just like they gather together they, and, and maybe talk about their countries, about the news, about Syrian war, and there is, I I think there is lots of differences between them, lots of disagreement about every single issue in the world. Yeah, but for the creative and cultural side, no, I don't think they do anything at all, or they have any plans or anything to do. It depends, and things depends on your personal or individual effort to find somebody who interested in this. And that's it. No, no more. I don't have anything to add in this.
Thank you very much, and thanks to Ezra for
Thank
that
you.
question. I noticed that Natalie has put the Stanza email there, so Ezra, you can contact Stanza to be put in touch with Iyad. That's the time, amazingly, so we're going to have to finish up. There was just a question from Jack. I take it this is for all of us. If we could place our childhood self a picture and speak to it, write to that child or all children in prose or in poetry, could we imagine and write our dreams and wishes and perhaps see what happens? That sounds like a beautiful moving off point for our writing. So can I just say a very big thank you from my heart to Iyad. Thank you so much for your beautiful readings, for the lovely way that you addressed the questions that we asked you. I can see from people's faces and from the little heart messages they're sending that people have really appreciated and loved this session. Thank you so much. And thanks to those of you who've come along and taken part. And hopefully at the next session you'll be using some of this in your own writing. And hopefully, Iyad, will be seeing much more poetry from you in the future. If you can spare the energy to write for us, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for everybody. Thank you. And I really felt honored and privileged to have me in this program or in this session. And thanks to everybody. Thank you.
شكرا. ألف شكر.
شكرا 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 جزيلا.